show, well, those are your own. But just keep in mind that the views, information, or opinions expressed on the Tuddle Daily Podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of our sponsors. Yeah, it's called free speech, people. Nobody's forcing you to listen. Get ready for your daily dose of Tuddle.
The all-time greatest intern slash producer we've ever
this
had,
intro is way too long.
Tuddle.
I keep saying I need to cut it down.
From the Hobo Fish Camp, it's the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
No wonder nobody likes you, Tuddle.
What's up, Mark?
It ain't
Jason?
a goddamn debate.
Welcome to a Friday edition of the Tuddle Daily Podcast. It's been a great week. I want to get some feedback from you guys, what you thought about last night's show with Lemmy. I saw a lot of new names in the chat room and stuff. Iggy T is in the house. Iggy T. It's always good to put her face up there. Says hello. You can get a hold of me 407-270-3044 because right out of the gate, I'm coming in with a guest. What's up, Marco?
How you doing?
Now, I always do this, and it's like an inside joke. I always like butcher the last names. Is it Carlucci?
Carlucci.
See, I
Yeah.
always, now, all right. So I see. I was right. Where are you calling from? Because I saw in your profile you were talking about lads, and I was like, this guy's got to be from the United Kingdom.
Manchester, England.
Okay. I don't know if I should ask this because I'm a big Premier League soccer fan, and I root for one of the Manchester teams. And
don't tell me it's blue.
No, it's not blue. Yeah, dude. I actually went to the United Kingdom when I was married, and we went to Manchester. I saw 2 matches. I got to see Dimitar Berbatov score 5 goals.
Against Blackburn.
Yes. Oh, man. That was absolutely amazing. Marco, before we get into the interview and stuff, I like to let my guest kind of, when you're doing something on your own and you have a goal, who is the best person to represent and promote what you do and how people can find it than yourself? And that's why I like to let guests come on, and I'm going to give you the floor. Tell my audience, my supporters. That's also the other thing. You can tell I'm a soccer fan because I call I don't call them listeners. I don't call them viewers. I call them supporters because, just like any supporter for a football team. Soccer here for my American supporters and stuff. But Marco, tell my audience a little bit about you.
My name's Marco. Like I say, like we said, we've already established I'm from Manchester. I started a little podcast about a year ago now. Actually, that's a little wrong. I started the blog first, nobodycaresaboutdad.com in the background. And it was really just initially just charting the parental journey, but that you rarely hear, and that's from the father's side. So we always hear stuff about the mums, but we rarely hear about the dad's journey.
Yeah.
So the podcast started.
Well, here is that because look, we're not saying what the women do isn't important, but sometimes the dads do get a little bit forgotten about.
Yeah, do you know, and it's silly things like like I talk about a lot, and we raise money for charity over here, and it's for a charity called Calm, which is campaigning against living miserably. Because, and I'm sure, and I know the statistics over where you guys are is very similar, but the biggest killer of men under 45 in the UK is suicide. And one of the little unknown stats that's within that figure is that 33% of those dads are new men. 33% of those men are new dads. So it's like, what's going on with guys that they're having kids and they can't understand what this pressure is. So could it be as simple as in some cases that it's just talking about it, right? Guys we don't talk, we don't share.
No, we don't, Marco. And I was about to talk about that because I've dealt with mental illness. Back in 2019, I tried to harm myself, spent some time in the hospital. And the South here in the United States, and especially being a man, like it's a little bit harder because here in the South, like, and I'm not saying my parents were bad people or anything like that, but if I went to my dad and said, man, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and my dad would say, what do you got to be depressed about? You know, I mean, you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you can't talk about it because
Yeah.
you look like less of a man.
But I think we grew up in a generation where fathers were like that. You know, men in the 70s, 80s, they had to be men. There was no weakness, you know, and it was very much father goes to work, comes home, or goes to the pub. Well, I mean, we're certainly here. That's how it was sort of, and mum was at home and looked after the child. And it's changed now. It's changed. So men are. It's more acceptable for men to be more emotional and more emotionally vulnerable, I think. And that's certainly you see in the generational change from all the guys that we speak to, and it's very similar. The guys that their relationships with their fathers were very similar to that. And we've grown up in a time where we've watched that and we've gone, actually, we don't want that for our kids. We want to be different. We want to be more open.
You know, like I know that it's going to be a very American thing to say and stuff, but like, you know, I know TV shows get, you know, are Hollywoodized, you know, stuff might not be real, but I know I'm late to the game. I just got done finishing season 5 of Peaky Blinders, and there's a lot of dad issues in that show. So there is, because of the lifestyle, about like you didn't take stuff off of anybody, like you didn't let me take the piss out of you. See, I know some British, but yeah, is that right? Or I mean, how is it growing up a boy with a tough dad? You know, that had to be tough, especially in the United Kingdom, because there's a lot of stuff here in the United States that might be different.
Yeah, just on that, taking the piss. It's funny you say that, and you obviously understand that it's a British thing, I think. Yes. My friend's married to an American lady. They live in New York, and we went over a couple of years back before the COVID pandemic, and I was just talking to him, and I was like, oh, you know, I think he's taking the piss, and she was so confused. She was like, what? And I was like, yeah, he's taking the piss. She's like, what? Like he's taking it out and having a piss? I was like, no.
Well. Now, do you think anything has to play into, because when I was over there, I was seeing what are some of the alcohol like stats in the United Kingdom? Is alcohol abuse a big thing in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, do you know, it's funny because I'm sort of going through this thing at the moment where I'm trying my best to go teetotal because you know, when I drink it goes crazy. Like, you know, it's like a hangover movie in the morning. That's pretty much how I wake up. In fact, you might just be able to see this scar here that I got.
Oh, what happened there?
That was a previous night out in Romania very recently. Yeah, it's a little blurry, to be honest.
What, were you and the lads out?
Yeah. So it was my birthday. We ended up. So we thought, because we've not been able to go anywhere for 2 years, we're like, let's fuck it. Let's go to
like, get out and let's
go to Romania, and yeah, we went away and we got a couple of bottles of Grey Goose and champagne, and it's all a blur, really.
Now, did you get into a fight, or did you?
No. Apparently, it was an accident. I don't remember it, but apparently, it was an accident. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, coming back to your point, yeah, drinking, the culture over here, but drinking is very much part and parcel of being a guy here. You know, you don't, like, I talk about this a lot, where, you know, over here, like, ladies, they'll go for coffee, they'll go shopping. Like, if you go to your mates, oh, do you fancy a coffee? They're like, what are you on about? Like, we're going to the pub, mate, we're having a beer. And then if you try to say to your friends, you know, I'm not drinking tonight, you want to see the scolding looks you'll get. It's yeah, horrendous.
As an American, if I go over to the United Kingdom, and, you know, everybody's like, oh, if you go to the United Kingdom, you gotta have a Guinness or something like that. But like, what would I order not to look like a complete tourist?
Guinness, obviously mostly Irish drink, but it's real ales. I don't know if you guys have real ales. I mean, we obviously have lager. Lagers are very popular here, but it depends. If you're in the south, London, you probably have a lager. If you come up north, where I am, it's probably an ale.
All right, so I know this, like, all right, so regionally, here in the United States, we talk about the North looking down on the South, like they think they're better than us, because you got to
Sure.
realize after the Civil War here in the United States,
Yeah.
the southern part of the United States was completely decimated. So you got to remember, we're way behind a little bit
Mm.
from the North. So, but we really feel like the North looks down on us at some points. Now, is that the case? Because when I was over in England, every time I brought it, hey, I'm going to Wales, so I'm going to go check out Cardiff. Everybody looked like they look down on Wales. So is
Yeah.
Wales the South like it is the southern part of the United States?
No, so it's very much split. So you've got the South in the UK is like the North in America. That's how I would describe it. So
Cockney, when people say Cockney accent, like
yeah,
what
London.
does that mean? Like, is that because now is Cockney kind of like, oh, I'm sure that I sound like a complete imbecile the way that my accent sounds like and stuff. I probably sound like a Southern general or something. It's just like, I love dialects. I mean, here in the United States, we have that. We got the Northeast, we got the Southeast, we got the central part, and then we got the hippies and stuff like that out in the West Coast.
Yeah.
Progressives in California and stuff. What is the one like? They're like, don't go to that town. No, they're like,
well, as I'm from Manchester, I'd probably say Liverpool.
yeah.
But there's a massive historical. I mean, obviously now it's centered around the football. The two football teams, the two successful football teams, soccer teams for the people.
We still got one more championship.
Yeah, so they're the most two successful football teams in the UK, but it stems from way before then. It stems from like the shipping canals, and when the Scousers, the Liverpool people from Liverpool, used to block the ships coming up the canal to Manchester. That's where the rivalry actually stems from.
Any gypsies around England anymore? Because
no.
Are you being? I was just trying to be funny there, because I am now so intrigued by gypsies after watching Peaky Blinders and stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
and that's a pretty rough, tough crowd as well too. You got to watch out.
Yeah, massive, and actually become quite mainstream very recently. Well, in recent years, or with obviously the likes of Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders becoming hugely popular, and they're from the traveling gypsy community. So yeah, there's plenty of areas. In fact, I grew up in a little town called Grantham, where the next town up the road is a place called Newark, and I think they have the biggest gypsy community in Europe in that town. So yeah.
I didn't realize the United States has over 100,000 gypsies. So
wow,
and the of course United Kingdom is up there and stuff. Now, why all right, so I can understand about the dads and the lad side of it, but in your bio and stuff, talking about mental health and stuff like that.
Yeah,
what are some of the issues? Because we were talking about the alcohol and stuff.
Mm.
In my case, I mean, I don't drink anymore. I haven't since 2019.
Well, okay, well done.
But it was the reason why, and I did other things. I was self-medicating. I was.
Sure.
Because back to, as being a man, you got to suck it up and stuff, that you don't want to go and see somebody. You don't want people knowing that you're talking to a therapist or a psychiatrist and stuff. So you would self-medicate. And that's a very fatal error, in my opinion, because if you were just open and honest about it, because a lot of it comes from childhood trauma too.
Yeah, but it's that stigma, isn't it? It's if you admit that you have a problem, then you're somehow perceived as weak or not strong or not a man, and that has to change, that whole stigma. One of the guys I had on the very first few podcasts, he tried to kill himself the year before, and he told nobody. He told none of his friends, and he was using the podcast as an opportunity to actually get it out there that this is actually what he's struggling with, because to his friends and everyone he goes to football with on a weekly basis will look at him and think, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about it. That's why I try to be as kind to everybody. I noticed that people are a little bit more on edge. People might be rude to you or snap at you. because but you don't know what those people are going through.
Of course.
And I really think that's I know that you guys don't have, you can't own guns and stuff like that, but here in the United States, nobody wants to talk about making laws and rules, keeping people from getting guns and stuff. But it's not about guns. It all goes back to mental illness,
mental health. Yeah.
I mean, I really do think that if we paid more attention to that, because you're never going to get rid of the guns here in the United States. And,
No.
and I do support the Second Amendment and stuff. I got a lot of friends that I talk to in the United Kingdom and everything. And like criminals don't obey laws. So like the people that do are going to be the ones that are going to give them up and stuff. You see what I'm saying? And you're never going to be able to take them. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but I think we have we stick our noses up over here, you guys, with the guns, and it's like, why would you have guns? But knife crime, and a lot of people who won't know is that knife crime in the UK is, we have a higher knife crime per capita in the UK than you do at gun crime.
But I mean, some criminals do have guns in the United Kingdom, though, right?
Some do, yeah. I mean, it's not actually that difficult to get hold of one.
Wow, man. I mean, that's really, really crazy. But also at the same time, when I was in the United Kingdom and I was going around London and stuff, if you get anywhere near any government building, guess who has not guns, not just guns, they got fully automatic rifles that the cops and stuff are carrying around.
I tell you where it's different though. What I've noticed, especially from guys coming over from here. So in England, like you've been here, so you may have seen it, especially around the football. There's a lot of fighting when we get the alcohol, and and that's a fairly standard night out. You go out, you have a few beers, you get into a scrap, you go home. That's pretty standard for a night in most big city in the UK. When you come to America,
you can't do that.
You can't do it because you just don't know what the guys will have, or if they'd have a gun. Whereas in England, they were very unlikely to have a gun or a knife, really.
Well, I mean, they could have a knife. I mean, but at the same time, like a lot of these states, here in the state of Florida, we got the stand your ground. If anybody reaches their arm in your car window, like you have by law, you can shoot that person. And you're not seriously. I mean, you also gotta do basically, somebody like punches through your window or tries to pull you out of the car. I mean, that's a clean shoot.
Yeah.
And I do agree that there needs to be well, for one thing, if you're a felon and you've been to jail, you can't own a gun here.
Yeah. Which probably makes sense, right?
it really, really does.
Yeah.
So Marco, so what are some of the things, like what made you want to get into this? What are some of your personal stories? Because usually when somebody decides to do a topic on a show, a theme for a show and stuff, they have some type of personal experience.
Yeah, well, I'll very briefly tell you how I came with the name and how I started it. Actually, just to tell you, I do actually have COVID at the moment, which is why my voice is quite husky and deep.
You went to clubs, you went out and you got you got a little lax, just like when men get
no masks, and then I got it.
Contraceptive and stuff. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out. It'll be fine. I'll pull out of this pub. You know what I mean? And before and do you know what? And
being completely frank, I'd have probably cancelled, but I listened to your podcast yesterday with Lemmy, when you talked about people cancelling on you for can, I was like, oh God, I can't cancel now.
No. I mean, look, I know a bunch of Welsh people. I do know one gypsy in Birmingham, and so that's my only connections. And I don't think they're going to go all the way up to Manchester.
No, it's fine. So look, how did it start? So so I never grew up with a dad, so I sort of know who he is. He's also a bit of a wrong un, to be honest. But he never brought me up. I was brought up by my mom, single mom.
Was that hard though? Like, you got bullied? Like, how did your mom handle that type of stuff? Like,
ironically, my dad he was a well-known guy in the town that I lived in. So,
well, wait, hold on. Well-known, like
like a criminal.
Okay, all right. That's all I needed to know. That's all. Yeah.
When I used to go out, people knew him and would be like, "Oh, you're so and so son." I'm like, "Yeah." So I used to get looked after, really. but I had no relationship with him. And, you know, I had no relationship with him at all. So the dynamic of growing up and seeing your dad and how that interacts with your mum, and I never really saw it. And it wasn't until it was Christmas. What was it? 2 years ago now. It's Christmas 2 years ago. I was around my wife's house for Christmas Day, and I was watching as well, they do this big charade on, you know, on unwrapping presents and all this sort of stuff. And I was watching.
Yeah, you pop the crackers. And
do all that. But I was watching as my father-in-law opened his presents, and it was, you know, standard dad presents, so like a packet of socks and a packet of licorice, right? In a standard dad present, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I pan over and watch my mother-in-law open her presents, and it was, you know, it was a mound of gifts, like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth of pounds spent on mum and nothing on dad. And it wasn't, for me, it wasn't the, you know, the money. It was more the thought that's gone into mum's present over dad's. And I remember looking at that picture and thinking, oh, actually, do you know what? Nobody actually really cares about dad.
No, look at Father's Day. I mean, come on. You forget about Mother's Day? Oh, watch out. Guess what dad gets? He, you know, maybe he'll get breakfast in bed and a card.
Well, you know, it's funny because I actually had this discussion today with my wife. So it's Mother's Day on Sunday here in the UK, and I've come home from nursery, picked my little boy up from nursery, and he has 2 cards made from him from the nursery, a gift. Fine, yeah. What do we get?
You have me afraid there, because I'm going out of town, and I was like, oh shit, is Mother's Day here in the United States? But I guess you guys celebrate because I was like, oh man, if I don't go see my mom, but that's the thing about it. It's like you can't forget Mother's Day. No,
but then so mum got loads of presents, and then but what do we get for Father's Day? Nothing, not even a card. I was just like, all right, that's cool. But yeah, so it got me thinking about what, you know, they were the thoughts that popped in my head when I was watching my father-in-law open his presents. Oh yeah, nobody really cares about dad. And then I got to thinking, well, you know, why do men leave the relationship? Why do men walk out? And in some cases, could it be as simple as the fact that they think, well, do you know what? Nobody really cares if I stay. You know, nobody cares about me. So what does it matter if I'm here or not? And of course, I'm being facetious there. There are plenty of reasons as to why men will actually leave a relationship. But that's what got me started on it. It was that whole watching that. So then I started to write about it in my blog, and then we hit lockdown in January, February, and it was like we couldn't go out. So everyone was like, "Why don't you start a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do a podcast."
Oh, man. All right. So let me ask you this though. Like usually what ends up happening, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but like, you know, we talk about how guys don't get any like presents or anything like that big, but like, come on. I mean, guys are pretty simple. Like birthday set, Father's Day sex, or something like that. You're kind of like, all right, cool. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. But guys are very, very simple people. We need the bare minimum sometimes. Yes, we do need some attention, but for the most part, it's like I think genetically we are just maybe it's in our DNA. Maybe we're not taught that. Maybe we are just pre-positioned and have a deposition that we know that we sometimes have to sacrifice for the betterment of things.
Of course, yeah. But I think you know, as we started to have these conversations with guys, it sort of started to become clear that there was much deeper than that. Like one of the guys, like, how many guys have you ever heard of having postnatal depression? Have you ever heard of anyone?
No.
No, so nor had I. But one of the guys we had on the podcast who tried to kill himself, well, he was suffering from postnatal depression. Now you look at that and you think that's a chick thing, right? That's a lady thing. It's not. It can happen to men as well. And
what was the symptoms though? Like, all right, so like, what was bothering him? I'm not laughing or making fun. I'm just, but see, I'm also a guy that's been has a predeposition or whatever of how you should act and everything.
Sure.
What was some of the things? Like, what was he saying that was bad?
Oh, do you know? So it was about 10 months ago, this one, but I think it was sort of things like, you know, when he would come home from work and the baby didn't need him, he only needed mum, you know, like it does, and he just felt completely useless, couldn't connect. It was all that. It was that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was. Then he was diagnosed with postnatal depression. Then he tried to commit suicide a couple of months later. Sorry, just to cut you off. Just one of the other interesting ones we had was, a guy who had a kid. He was 25, a good friend of mine, actually. He had a kid, and he said for the first 3 months, he couldn't connect with the child. Like, felt like the child was a burden, like stopped him from going out. He was having to spend his money on the kid rather than himself. He said it wasn't until like month 3 where it was like a light bulb moment for him, where it just went, it's like, shit, I need to, this is what am I doing? But and from that, we had so many guys message to say, do you know what? I actually felt like that, and I actually felt like I was wrong, and I felt I was bad. But it's actually refreshing to hear that I wasn't the only person going through that sort of situation.
I completely get it, but I see that's the thing about it, is that I agree that it needs to be talked about. It really, really does. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed, because they're not just because we're men, but every man is different. You see what I'm saying? Like they can handle it in separate ways. And I do think that it's something that definitely needs to be talked about. Now, here in the United States, okay, we got this little show called, we used to have Live PD, and then we had Cops, that it would show people showing up. Do men get the wrong end of the stick when it comes to any domestic disputes, like when the cops or any of the cops in the United Kingdom show up? For the most part, the guy's either going to jail or he has to leave his own house. Even though he didn't do anything wrong. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of he said, she said type stuff. And is it unfair, like it is here in the in the United Kingdom, like it is here in the United States? Because the guy, I would say, the woman would have to do something really, really bad, for the guy to be able to stay at the house. Or
no, exactly. I mean, I think culturally we're very similar here in the UK and America, and although there's very subtle differences in the law, the law is pretty similar as well. Guys are treated as second-class citizens when it comes to rights, within the parental rights, certainly. And it's a problem. We've covered quite a lot of cases on this podcast, on my podcast, sorry, about there's just so many. I don't know what the coverage has been over there, but there's been so many cases in the news recently of kids being killed by their parents. It'll either be their mother and the new stepfather. You look in the paper and it's every day, and you read some of these cases, and in many instances, the father has spotted abuse, reported it to social services, but has no parental rights to do anything whatsoever, and then the child ends up getting killed, and the dad stood there going, what can I do?
Yeah, so I mean, we have that problem as well when a woman gets the kids here in the United States. A woman would have to do something so bad to not have custody of her kids. I mean, that's the biggest red flag in the world. Like, if you're on any of these dating sites and stuff, and you see a woman and you start talking to her and she says that she does not have custody of her kids.
I mean,
now there are some circumstances and stuff. I can't generalize everybody, but what I'm trying to say, 9 times out of 10, the woman is getting the kids and the guy is paying a lot of stuff. And it's just like, at the same time, now, if anybody watched the show, that's the other thing that guys have going against them as well, too. Like, we're having an open, respectful, honest conversation here. But if a woman came across this show and stuff, they would automatically think that we were just being a bunch of women hating dudes, right? I mean, I'm just being honest, right?
Yeah. Do you know, it's funny though, but we've actually started recently moving to having females on the show. So we started originally just being for guys and just for dads, and it's sort of pivoted now into more of a mental health, wellness, self-improvement kind of conversation. One of my not the last one, the one before, was a international dating coach, and she was a woman. But actually, and we make it clear on our show, we're not. This isn't an hour of men moaning about women. That's really not what it's about. And our show, it's not to denigrate the role of women at all. But it's just to say that we're here too. Like, you know, we go through the same traumas, the same problems, we share the same experiences, and sometimes we don't deal with it well.
Yeah. You know, you're talking about going out with the lads. This is my lad. I put his comment up there. He said Big Iggy in the house. We call him Big Dick Rich. You know, like, do you guys have like all these like nicknames for your friends, like in any creative nicknames and stuff that you have for some of your lads?
No, we do have, like, you know,
like oh man, Stinky Pete, he's the one that shows up to the pub every single time, and he's the one that always gets in trouble, but he goes home with the lady every single night, you know.
Yeah, it's very similar, but, you know, Ginger Dave or
Wait. All right. So, all right. Can I ask you? I mean, you
Sure.
brought it up, and I got ADHD, so I go anywhere. But is there any I don't even know what you call it. You can't call it racism or anything like that. But what is it with the ginger thing in the United Kingdom? Like,
Yeah,
because
it is. It is.
in the United States, they said gingers didn't have souls. But I noticed, because I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and whenever one of the doctors regenerates, they always make a joke about not being ginger anymore and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what, but there definitely is they're like a third race for some reason. No, it's not. That's not me saying it. I'm just saying that's how they're treated, as though they are like some third species.
I mean, there's so much like I want to ask, and I don't want to go like keep it too long, because I know. Well, I think we're only 4 hours time difference right now, right?
Sure, right now,
You guys
yeah.
have to change your time though, right?
Yeah, Sunday. I don't know if it goes forward or back. Actually, it may go back or forward.
Do you
Forward.
like the time change thing? You know, our government here just voted on keeping it.
Yeah, I saw that.
Around, and our government can't agree on shit. And this is the first time, like, it's funny, something like this, we completely, it was unanimous. Like, nobody voted against it. They're like, all right, we're gonna, next time we change time, we're keeping it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's quite nice in the summer when it gets darker later. That's quite nice. But in the winter, it's quite horrible. You know, when you leave for work, it's dark. When you get in, it's dark. It's grim. Actually, I had a bone to pick with you. Actually, you on your show yesterday, you guys were
Oh, you did research. I love this.
You guys were moaning about the weather in Florida, and I was like, "You're crazy, mate! Like, Manchester's disgusting weather."
All right, if we're talking about weather, I mean, when are you guys gonna get on our like degrees and this Celsius stuff? Every time I go over there, I'm trying to figure out. It's like your freezing is 0, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, and our freezing is 32. So I think I always have this, and I always get it wrong and stuff. So
yeah. So I can tell you today, it's been relatively warm today. I'll work it out for you, actually. So it's been 17.
It was 17
degrees Celsius, which is 62.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's still cold. That you got to realize, in Florida, we live kind of in a tropical type place. And we have a lot of animals here that are very dangerous. But we have 100% humidity. We have the hurricanes and stuff. And that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've traveled to the States quite a bit, but I've never done Florida actually yet. My 40th, I'm going to do Miami, but yeah, I've never done. Well, my friend, funny story actually, my friend got married in Dallas a few years back, and it was October. And it was like 32 degrees. I never forget it was 32 degrees Celsius. And we were like by the pool, because for us that's red hot. And these American guys came over like, "What are you doing?" And we were like, "What do you mean? We're in the pool." It's like, "It's cold." We were like, "Are you mental?" We're like, "Yeah, no, it's 50 degrees normally here." That's like, wow.
Here's my guest from last night. Lemmy is in the chat room right now. She says, "Hey, Tuddle." What did you think of Lemmy yesterday on the show? Did you I had her on for the first time, and she's actually helped me out a lot yesterday with bringing some people over. That's the thing about it. I've been working in radio for over 20 years and stuff, but this this whole thing is like new to me, because it's on demand. You got to learn new ways. You got to be consistent and all that. And I had Lemmy on. What did you think of her? I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, very, very engaging, which is half the battle, right?
Yeah, and she fired up a joint.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, very Joe Rogan.
or like you guys in the United Kingdom like to say, she lit up and had a little puff, right?
Buff,
Like,
yeah.
um, man, see, I only know that from watching the Matthew.
How long ago was you here then? How long ago was you in the UK?
Oh, it was when I was married. It was like 2010, 2011. I'm divorced now, so you know.
Okay.
But Iggy T, she's a Canadian listener of mine. She says 32 is cold. LOL.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they have it completely different. There's a whole new level of cold over there.
So what is the summers like? Do you guys like you guys have like what here in the United States we have like a spring break? Like do you guys have like some time off where all the college kids or the kids that are at university that want to go out and cut loose? Well, like where do they go?
No, I mean, university is just cutting loose. Like it's just you just out every night getting drunk. We have an Easter break, 2 weeks, but it's not. It's nothing like. I did spring break actually in Mexico in 2010. That was something else.
I probably could have saw you on a Mexican cartel execution video or something.
Yeah, maybe. But no, yeah, there's nowhere really here that people go, right, we're off from school, we're off from university, let's go and get wasted because frankly everybody's out doing it all the time. Yeah.
So all right, so like what are some of the things that you are going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks on your show?
Oh, good question. I've got we've gone back to more of the sort of, I guess, like I said, we went to have more of a focus around self-improvement, wellness, so life coaches, dating coaches. We're talking about we had more centered topics around who cheats more, men or women, like a lad's view on that sort of thing. So we had more conversations around that. And then the next couple of guests we've got lined up are more going back to the sort of dad's route, and people that have had some struggles and want to open up about their struggles and stresses that they've had as fathers, becoming dads and being new dads.
What if you could have one British icon on your podcast interview, who would it be?
Oh, good question. Probably Ricky Gervais. I know he's not a dad, obviously, but he's great.
The guy can talk about anything. I mean,
yeah.
One of my favorite shows. I know everybody points to The Office, but Extras was one
Extras
of his.
Great. Yeah.
That was great. And yeah, I mean, just the way that the Americans got all pissed off and stuff when he came over and hosted the Emmys, and was just completely just burning everybody, all the celebrities and stuff, and it was great. I love Stephen Merchant as well too.
Yeah.
They make a great writing. I mean, all those shows that they used to do on XFM and stuff was
they were so good. Yeah,
it wasn't actually in Manchester, wasn't it? Or
yeah, XFM. It's funny actually. You were sort of talking yesterday about people cancelling on you, and so that's my biggest frustration has been. So we've had regular. We started off with I call them regular dads, but regular dads like myself, and then when we started to get people with a bit more of a profile. So we had a couple of footballers come on. We had a Canadian American singer, YX. I don't know if you heard of YX, a big TikTok star. Yeah. So we have people like that. But then the people that have a bigger profile, oh my god, they were the ones that were cancelling the most. And it was like you have like so many podcasts lined up and they just not show up or just cancel last minute. That was so frustrating.
I know that I'm all over the place and stuff. In 2020, we had a lot of problem with police brutality. A lot of the racial topics were talked about. I know that you guys do have some problem with that type of stuff in the United Kingdom, because I mean I watch all the football matches, soccer from my American people, but because I definitely see a lot of they talk about racism when it comes to people in the any of the soccer stadiums and stuff. Is it getting any better? Like what needs to be done?
It's a good question, and I've touched on this quite a bit. The honest answer is I don't know. You certainly seeing more. You certainly seeing. You certainly.
Has it gotten better from when you were young? I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, because it was just one of those things, because I think that would help you out, because I would like to gauge, is it?
Yeah. I don't know, because I'm obviously brown. I'm brown. I'm a brown guy.
What's your heritage?
So my mum is Sicilian. So she was born in Sicily. My dad's English. So I'm a mongrel. I'm a mix of everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, Italian. Everybody wonders why the Italians got darker, but they don't watch history and stuff.
No.
But
yeah, the Moors.
Problems with that? Have you had problems with that?
Yeah, so as a kid, yeah, absolutely. You know, I remember walking down the street I was 10 years old, walking to school to catch the school bus, and some guy in his white van drove past me, wound the window down. "You black bastard!" I was like, "Hello." Yeah, great. So yeah,
you had a really good tan if you were in Florida. Like, seriously, like,
yeah.
I mean, come on. And I've always talked about this. If you look about it, think about it, pale skin looks heavier than tanner skin. So, I mean, I was like, sign me up all day. I mean,
yeah, well, racism is so silly, isn't it? We are all the same. No matter, you can be white and be an idiot. You can be black and be an idiot. It doesn't matter.
Is there still a cultural bias in the country?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, there is. There definitely is. And what I was when you asked me, is it better? And I was sort of, I don't know. What when I mean that when I say I don't know, I think it's because obviously when I was younger, there was no social media. The only time you saw racism when it was in your face, right? As a kid. Whereas now it's everywhere. Like you just have to pick up your phone and it's there. It's in your face. So what I don't know is it being reported more? Are you seeing it more, or is it the same as it always was? I don't. The honest answer to that is I don't know. But there are certainly cultural biases towards black people in this country. For me, I've been stopped and searched 4 times as a younger man.
Do they need probable cause to do that in your country? Like,
yeah, they need it.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, everybody had a big problem with stop and frisk in the United States, especially up in New York City, where they would just stop you randomly. Like if they didn't like the way you looked and stuff, they would just stop you. And now they got to have probable cause. Like you got to do something.
Well, I fit the profile of somebody who had burgled some houses. Apparently, I was 15 the first time, working home from the corner shop where I used to work. I worked like a mile away. I was walking home, stop and search. I fit the profile. So yeah.
You were talking about walking from the store.
Yeah,
I love going to some of the petrol stations there. Favorite English candy bar, because mine, I fell in love with the Lion bars. I know probably everybody.
Lion bar, yeah.
I did. You're probably like, stupid American eating Lion bars. Like, I mean, what's your go-to? Like, if you're stopping to get some gas or something, what would you go for if you wanted a snack while you're driving? Probably
a twirl. If I was going chocolate.
Twirl, is that like a Twizzler here or something?
I don't know what a Twizzler is. Chill. It's two chocolate bars, thick chocolate. Oh, they're so good.
Oh man, it sounds like a Twix then.
No. Twix has got the carrot. This is thick, thick bars of chocolate. No caramel, no biscuit. It's much better than a Twix.
All right, man. Well, before I let you go, and I really did enjoy this conversation, tell my audience once again how they can check out your podcast, website, social media, any of that stuff.
Sure. Really straightforward. Nobodycaresaboutdad.com is the blog. We do have a YouTube channel, Nobody Cares About Dad, and Facebook.
What's the lads? Is that the one you do on YouTube?
Yeah, so we mostly do that on YouTube, and we're on obviously all the usual podcast sites.
When you do it,
so we started during. So actually, when I first started, it was called Dad's Beer Club. That's how I first started doing it. And then what I used to have like 2 or 3 podcasts a week, and I was drinking 2 or 3 times a week. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. All right. So once again, so any of the social media, where can they follow you on
Facebook, we do. I'll be honest. Instagram is probably the one I use least, but nobody cares about that on every single site. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and like I said, the blog. Nobody cares about dad.com.
All right, Marco, man, I really appreciated this. Hopefully you did as well too, and I hope you have a great night. Thanks for staying up later.
No, that's fine.
All right, man. Have a good one, my friend.
And you.
All right, man. Bye. All right. So a lot of people were asking. I mean, that was Marco. I know I'm gonna mess up the last name there. Carlucci. I don't know. I probably messed it up. Anyways, I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thank you, Twisted Movies. Lemmy, thanks for coming on last night. I really do appreciate that. I mean, my numbers are way up here as well too. So I can't thank you enough. Go subscribe. Lemmy, can you put it in the chat room where people can follow you on your platform? I don't know if you can leave it. Luke E. I mean, I enjoyed that. I thought it was great. I know some of you guys think that I go a little long with the interviews. I talk about their topics and stuff. They don't give me any topics, but kind of like what their niche or what they talk about on the podcast and stuff. C-Note_ the boss. People can call me 407-270-3044. You know, I would have bet any amount of money that Fozzie would have called in. He really pissed me off last night. Fozzie was like, he just kept going on and on and on. He had something really nasty to say about Lemmy on Twitter too. But I don't understand why he would have like come at me the way he did. Because I unfollowed him too, because like he's talking a lot of stuff, a lot of shit about Bubba. But Fozzie, like I've been really, really nice to him. Fozzie wrote, at Tuddle, interesting show yesterday, cuzzy. If you like mouthy chicks with no life experience to speak of, you jobbed me out for a collective ancillary, unfunny, uninteresting Bubba show chat room mark. On you, cousin. That uppity granola bitch had 0.0 takes. No, that's what Fozzie said. Now, I don't understand why Fozzie would say that, because he was on the phone with me yesterday, because he called me after, because he was kind of upset. And that, look, that is no, it's not a fair take, because the reason why he's mad at Lemmy is because he's been blocked on all the platforms that Bubba's on because of somebody in the chat room and stuff. And that's the only reason why he went after her. And he was calling me, and I don't even remember like exactly what we were even talking about. But like he made a comment, a joke about hanging himself with from a ceiling fan. And I hung up on him. Like, I was like, all right, man, have a good one. Like, I didn't even yell at him. I didn't even curse at him. I didn't even get mad. I just said, all right, man, I'll talk to you later. And that's the thing about it. A lot of people have gotten really fucking uncomfortable. They think that what they hear on the radio, that they can just come up to me and say those type of things. Like, do you really think that it's okay, or I would be okay with you saying something like that to me? Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not going to be happy with it. I think Fozzie, matter of fact, I don't even know if his name is even showing up. Yeah, it is. Good. Guess what? Look at this. I think somebody might have gotten deleted. You might have gotten canceled. You might have been working a little too stiff, Fozzie. And I had nothing to do with that. Like, I was actually trying to look at what he said. Fozzie's gone. And if you think that it would be okay for you to say something like that to me, I'm done with those days. Like, I'm done with those days thinking that they're going to punk me out, that they're going to bitch me out. No, no, you're not, Lemmy. Please do not apologize. Don't say, I don't want to cause any drama, man. Seriously, you're not causing any of it. It's done. It's done because he called me. He's blocked now, but I'm not going to let him make a joke about me trying to kill myself. It's just, I'm not going to put up with it. You know, people have pushed me around for too long, and I'm not like going to sit by and let people disrespect me like that over something like that. No, I'm not trying to be some tough guy or anything. But Fozzie, like, I showed you a lot of kindness. I've helped you out. I've let you be on my show when you've been banned from everything else. And then you want to make a joke about me trying to kill no, dude, I'm not playing that game. So we're done. And I'm not going to talk about you. I'm not going to think about you anymore. I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you no ill will at all. But I'm done. I'm done letting people think that they can walk all over me. It's just not going to happen. I'm not trying to be some fake tough guy, but it's just, I'm going to start standing up for myself like I did when I was in high school. I mean, look, okay. But Bubba, he can do that stuff because guess what? I know Bubba. And at the same time, I talked about it on the show. I did. And if the listeners want to talk about that, I really don't give a fuck. But I'm not going to take it from somebody like Fozzie. No, it's just, I'm done with those days. And you know, like, I want to be friends with everybody. People are making it really, really hard. I'm not talking about anybody in the radio business and stuff. And that's the other thing about it. A lot of these keyboard tough guys, and I'm not going to go out of my way to try to find people like some radio hosts have done in the past. But I guarantee you, like, I'm sure a lot of those people that have talked trash about me have went to a radio station event and have come up to me and shook my hand and said all types of nice stuff to my face. Did they say the same exact BS that they were saying on social media? No, they wouldn't. Because people look at me and they're like, oh, he's a nerd. He's a pass. But no, I'm done with those days. So I don't know. No, I know that. Thank you, Kirkwood Jones. And you know, like, I mean, I talked about this with Marco when I had him on the show and stuff. You can't really do that stuff here in the United States. You can't go around looking for fights and stuff. You just can't do that stuff anymore. But I'm not going to go looking for trouble and stuff, but I'm also going to stand up for myself from now on. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here, guys. I'm actually going to Tampa this weekend. I'm going to see Colton, helping him do a couple of things. Going to spend some time, hang out with him and Rich and stuff. Oh, trust me, Lemmy. I mean, we all got haters. I mean, I do. But you know what? Yeah, Tampa. I don't know. I've missed Tampa. I really have. Well, I mean, but Cino_Bass, the thing about it is that I talked about it. Anything that I'm willing to give up and talk about, I mean, it's fair game. Yeah, you got to realize. What's the show schedule? I mean, I think I'm sticking with 7 p.m. Guys, I would like some feedback. If you guys are liking the 7 p.m. broadcast, if you're liking it better, please let me know because I'm kind of liking the 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. My producer Vulture, he made a executive decision. Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. is what we're doing. And, well, listen, call me Michaela. I mean, a lot of people, I don't know. Look, everything that happened in the hospital and stuff, that was on me. None of that stuff was on Bubba. So can we please just, we're going to keep it at 7. I'm going to keep it at 7 until I see a change. I think 7 is definitely like working out way, way better. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. If you are listening to this right now, because I put this audio on the Tuddle Daily Podcast audio part of the show. If you're listening to this right now, don't forget, Tuddle Daily Podcast is live on numerous platforms. Just go to Tuddle.net. You can find all the links and stuff. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's show. Hope you guys stay safe, and I'll talk to you on Monday.